What is going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadskii, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. In today's video, we're actually going to be talking about the upcoming stuff that's going to be coming with the new update version 9.0 on Global, which is going to be relating to the support abilities. Now, ever since I made that video discussing about the new update, and since the update has gone in-game, and a lot of people have been discussing, about the support abilities, and talking about which are the good ones, which characters should I actually be saving for these support abilities. And that's definitely been the most requested thing since that video has gone live. So many of you guys out there have even been tweeting me as well, asking me to make a video about the support abilities. Now, I was going to make a video where I was going to go through the database and go through every single character in my own time, and then present the ones that I found that were really good. But we have Broken Famous here on the One Piece Treasure Cruise subreddit, who today just uploaded this post on the Reddit, and it actually basically did what I was going to do. So thank you very much to Broken Famous for this. I give him an upvote, of course, for this. He basically goes through not only just the good characters and stuff, but also talks about, like, in very in-depth detail about the support abilities itself. We're not going to be going through all of this stuff. We're mainly talking about the units themselves. If you guys want to go ahead and read this, I'll leave the link to this down below in the description. So once again, shout out to Broken Famous for this post. So obviously, going through what are support abilities, I basically made like a full run through of that in my previous video about version 9.0, so go ahead and check that out. And then obviously in bold, friend captains do not get support abilities, just in case if anyone was wondering. How do you level up support abilities? I discussed that. How do you obtain more proof of friendship, which are the medals? We'll get information on that soon enough. Who supports who? It will basically say that on the character. Which other good support abilities? We'll be discussing this. Support abilities on dual units. Yes, so you can actually go ahead and use, like, if a character says that they only support Luffy characters, and then you have Luffy and Ace, when you do the switching on the character, it does still have the support ability on the character, just in case if anyone was wondering. Support abilities on Super Evolved units obviously works the exact same. Support abilities with captains that require certain number of classes or types. So I wasn't really too sure when making this, like, I didn't know about this specific one, but it's just talking about the fact that if you have a captain that says you need a certain amount of colors or a certain amount of types on your crew, the support characters do not affect that whatsoever. An example here with V2 Doflamingo or Hody Jones, you need specifically 6 driven and 6 powerhouse characters. The support characters do not go towards that, so you do not have to worry about that. And the same goes for Magellan, Tesoro, and Judge, where you need either the certain colors or the certain classes. The support characters do not affect that. Only the regular characters will affect the captain effect. Now, here we get to the good stuff where we can talk about each of the support characters. So this list is very extensive. I do not know how long this video is going to be, but we're going to be going through each of these support abilities that are suggested here from Broken Famous. So let's do it. First character, Monkey D. Luffy, literally the first story mode character you receive, and also Super Evolved 5+ Luffy. His support ability is going to affect all characters, so you can attach this support effect to anyone in the game, and it adds 5% of his base attack to the support character attack. So that's what you'll see with a majority of support characters, especially some of the early ones that start coming in. Most of them will just go ahead and give you some sort of statistical increase. Some of them give you an HP boost, some are attack boost, some are recovery boost, some are a combination of the 3, and some will be all stats. So that's something to note. Next is Princess Vivi, one of the old school characters. Once per adventure, when you reach the final stage, she'll go ahead and change the supported character's orb into matching, and you get 2000 HP recovery, and that is also for all characters. Again, like a pretty good support effect. It's not game breaking whatsoever, but a lot of these earlier support effects, they're just really nice because you can max them relatively easily when you guys are just going to be doing more rare recruit pulls, especially because V2 Katakuri and Snake Man we're hoping is coming right around the corner, and if you guys are doing pulls on that, you'll be able to get a lot of rare recruits to save up for the support effects. Moving on, Ice Witch Whitey Bay, again a very old school character. Once per an adventure, when the supported character uses a Bind or Despair reducing special, reduces Bind and Despair by a further 2 turns, and that can be attached to any slasher character in the game. Again, a very useful character to have. I think if I actually open up the database real quick, I can link off of this. There's one character that comes to my mind like straight away. I have to double check Is the Strength Treasure Map Lore a slasher? He is, okay, because this character has the ability to reduce Bind and Despair by 2 turns. So this means that if you attach Whitey Bay to that, it's 4 turns of Bind and Despair removal. So that means that with sockets, of course, you can reduce up to 7 turns of Bind and Despair with sockets and just with Lore Special with this support effect. So you can see how these characters can synergize together really well, and you can get some amazing effects happening when you have these characters with their max support ability. Obviously, this is their maxed ability at level 5. Now, in order to get them to level 5, you have to level it up with the medallions or dupes. So it might take a while for you to get these maxed out, but once they are maxed out, they are going to be useful. Now, there are a lot of characters here, so I kind of want to speed through these a little bit quicker. Emporio Ivankov, which is the int rare recruit Ivankov that came with V1 Sabo way back in the day, can be attached to Luffy, Inazuma, and Bon Clay. Once per adventure, when you are inflicted with poison or toxic, you get that completely removed. This is one of the best ones in the game for sure, because if you are ever in a situation where you do need to remove that poison, just the ability to just remove it whenever you want, and the fact that this character can be attached to Luffy, which Luffy has, I think, the most characters out of anyone in the game, or close to. That is freaking awesome. Next is Iceberg, which is the fake gold unit in Rare Recruit. Once per an adventure, when the supported character uses their special, switches orbs between slots twice and locks your orbs for 1 turn, and can be attached to Frankie. A character that comes to mind straight away would be Legend Frankie that you could attach this to, because you could go ahead and use Frankie's special ability, which will shuffle your orbs around unless if they're matching, and that can include block orbs as well, and then you can lock them and switch them. So this would actually work very well with Legend Frankie. Moving on, we've got Empress Boa Hancock, which I believe is Raid Boa Hancock, and that can be attached to Sandersonia, Marigold, or Margaret. Once per an adventure, when you are inflicted with chain coefficient reduction, locks the chain at 2.5 for 1 turn. So this ability by itself enables you to get around any negative chain debuffs. This is awesome. Again, this would be one that I would highly suggest to max out. Luckily enough, this is a free-to-play character, so you shouldn't have any issues maxing this out. The only issue is on your team, you're going to have a Sandersonia, Marigold, or Margaret character, and you also have to have a situation where you are inflicted with chain coefficient reduction. So that might be a little bit of a niche use, but if you're ever in that situation, that's very, very good. This one is really good as well. This is Legend Corazon, including his 6+ as well. Can be attached to any lore character. Once per adventure, when you are inflicted with Bind, Despair, or Paralysis, reduces Bind, Despair, and Paralysis by 2 turns. Again, it's so amazing, honestly. That is, once again, at level 5 maxed, but just having a passive effect where you can just reduce it by 2 turns no matter what, that's going to be ridiculously useful to have. So the next is going to be Mancherry, which can be attached to any character with a cost of 29 or lower. Once per an adventure, when you reach the final stage, for the next 3 turns, recover 1500 health. Very basic, allowing you to get a little bit of extra healing. That's a very, very niche sort of use. Lafitte, which can be attached to any of the original Blackbeard pirates. Once per adventure, when you're inflicted with Bind, Despair, or Blindness, reduce Bind, Despair, and Blindness by 2 turns. That's very similar to Corazon, except instead of Paralysis, it's Blindness. The Jinbei, the side Jinbei from the Magellan batch, can be attached to fighter and powerhouse characters, so a very large pool of characters there. Once per adventure, when the supported character uses their special, adds 0.2 to the combo chain for 1 turn. That's actually a pretty nice use, but if you are using a special ability on your team that is a chain lock or a bigger chain boost, you wouldn't really want to be using a special like this. Hannibal, which I believe is again from the Magellan batch, can be attached to Magellan. Once per adventure, when the supported character uses poison, strong poison, or toxic, boost attack against poison enemies by 1.3 for 2 turns. So this is actually really good because it enables you to get a conditional boost all the time. It is only a 1.3 boost, that is the downfall there, but if you are in a situation where you can't bring too many units, like you have to bring lots of utility on your team, you could just chuck Magellan in there and you get a guaranteed 1.3 boost because of that. Of course, you need to make sure that you can actually poison the enemy so you can actually get the conditional boost. So if they have a poison protector or a debuff protector, this is essentially going to be useless. Boa Sandersonia, which can be attached to Marigold, and then you have Marigold that can be attached to Sandersonia depending on which character. But for Sandersonia's effect, when they're attached to Marigold, once per adventure, when the supported character uses a special, reduces the defense of all enemies by 80% for 2 turns, and changes the supported character's own and adjacent orbs into decks. This is freaking sick because Boa Marigold gives you the conditional boost against defense down, and this will go ahead and proc the defense down against the enemy by 80%. So with this combination, this will grant you a guaranteed 1.75 conditional boost off of one character, so you don't have to really fill up your crew with all these characters, but you do get guaranteed dex orbs on adjacent and this character's own orb. So as long as you can make those orbs beneficial or give you matching orbs, this is going to be great. And then alternatively, if it's the other way around where Sanderzonia is the character on your crew and then Marigold is the support, you'll go ahead and state that when they use the special, boost attack against enemies with reduced defense by 1.3, very similar to the Hannibal that we talked about earlier, and then changes adjacent, or changes all supported characters' dex or quick orbs into matching. So I think that Boa Sanderzonia has the better effect, because there isn't too many situations where you really should be doing this. If you want this sort of boost, it's better to use Marigold on the crew with Sanderzonia as your support. So the next one is going to be Beppo, which is from the V2 Boa batch, and this is actually a pretty interesting effect, right? So this can be attached again to any Law character. Law seems to have amazing supports from what we've seen so far. Adds 5% of his base attack, HP, and recovery to that character, so all stats get a slight boost. And then it says, when the supported character hits a perfect, reduces enemies' threshold damage reduction by 1 turn. That is extremely interesting, right? Because I believe that is all the time. All the time. So if the enemy has like a threshold damage reduction for like, let's say 2 turns, if you just hit 1 perfect, you'll go ahead and remove 1 turn of it, and then because you reach the end of the turn, you completely remove it. That's really intriguing. I think this is definitely a character you should be saving, this quick Beppo. I saw someone mentioned it earlier, either on Discord or it was either on this Reddit post that I was reading, that there is a specific dungeon that this was actually used, and it's pretty freaking awesome, honestly. I would go ahead and definitely save these copies of Beppo. That's a very interesting effect. So the next one is going to be Isho, which is going to be, I believe this is V2 Fujitora. I wanna confirm this just to make sure. Slash a powerhouse. Yes, okay, so this is V2 Fujitora, including his 6+ as well. And it says, once per adventure, when the supported character uses a damage dealing or health cutting special, changes badly matching orbs on slasher characters to matching. And that can be attached to any slasher character. And we know that slashers, like a lot of slashers, have damage dealing or health cutting specials. So I definitely can see a lot of situations where this could be used. It's just the fact that you have to make sure you're in a situation where the enemy gives you badly matching orbs. And if that is the case, then this guy's going to be clutch for those slasher teams. Talking about slashers once again, we have limited rare recruit Toadskii, and it states here that once per adventure, when you're inflicted with attack down, she reduces the attack down by 2 turns and changes strength and quick orbs on all characters into matching. And that can be attached to only Smoker and Zoro characters. That is freaking awesome, yo. The fact that you can have a passive ability to just completely remove attack down, or it's only by 2 turns, but that might be all you need to remove. And the fact that you get slight orb manipulation on top of that as well, again, just another really powerful slasher support ability. And now we're talking about the character that a lot of people are going to be getting their hands on coming up in the, hopefully, the next Sugo Fest with Katakuri. And Snake Man is going to be the man himself, Monkey D. Luffy Snake Man, which is a very straightforward effect that can be attached to any character, adds 9% of his base stats, being attack, HP, and recovery, to the supported character. This type of ability you might think is very annoying and straightforward. It's not that complex, but these type of abilities are really good on legend characters because we all know that legends have much higher stats compared to regular rare recruits. So this is actually an amazing ability, and I think there's another character later on, I don't know if it's on this list, but I know V2 Sanji specifically, he has an amazing amount of stats that he gives to the supported character. So, you know, these characters, you might see this and it's not that good, but remember, legends have really good stats, so that's going to add a lot of attack, HP, and recovery to the supported character. Okay, so another one here is going to be Raid Zoro, and it says once per turn when you reach the final stage, boost the color affinity of slashes by 1.3. Very simple effect, but once again, if you are having struggles with fitting characters on your teams because you need lots of utility, having a slight 1.3 boost is pretty ridiculous, honestly, and that can be attached to any slasher. So this particular listing so far has shown a lot of slasher support, so this is good to see. Charlotte Pudding, which I believe is from, is this the rare recruit pudding, the quick one? I believe it is. Yes, it is. And it says, once per adventure, when you reach the final stage, reduce crew's current HP by 20% and greatly boost the chance of getting matching orbs for 3 turns. And that can be attached to any Sanji or Reiju. So that would be a good effect if there is going to be a situation where the enemy randomizes your orbs, because then with a high chance of getting matching orbs, you would, obviously getting more matching orbs from the randomization. So that's pretty awesome. Charlotte Opera. So this is the Colosseum Opera. And it says, when the supported character uses a damage dealing or health cutting special, reduces despair by 2 turns. That's pretty awesome. Once again, can be attached to fighter characters specifically. So you can see how these support abilities are kind of structured. There's small little boosts that you can get when you attach them to your characters, enabling you a little bit more advantage throughout your runs. So there are other characters on that previous little list here, but these characters are currently not available on global, so I don't want to talk about them just yet, just in case it is going to be a little bit of information overload to you guys. But this listing here is just other characters that are going to be listed. Now, these ones, from what I've seen so far, are not as amazing as what we've talked about previously, but I'll still talk about them. The old school Rare Recruit Rakuyo will state that once per stage, when you reach the final stage, changes the supported character's orb into Psi, and then reduces special cooldown of the supported character by 1 turn. And that can be attached to Whitebeard, Ace, Marco, and Vista. And as stated here from Broken Famous, he says that Rare Recruit Rakuyo, it doesn't seem like a good ability, but for Whitebeard and Marco specifically, because their cooldowns are so high, the fact that he does reduce the cooldown of the supported character is actually pretty nice, because his cooldown is like, what, 16, 17 turns at max? In most situations, that will probably be the highest cooldown on your team, so the ability just to reduce it is pretty cool. So next is going to be Rare Recruit Jabra, stating that once per adventure, when the supported character uses the special, changes all orbs on your team into the same orb that the supported character has. Depending on your situation, this could be pretty good. This is attached to Lucci and Kaku. I can't really think of any Kaku character that would really like abuse this. There are a lot of Luccis in the game, like V2 Lucci, and obviously, like V2 Lucci is the main one, and also the Dex Rare Recruit Lucci as well, who is an orb booster and a defense down character. So you could attach it to one of those guys, but again, not a super amazing ability. Pico, I think this is Raid Pico. Once per adventure, when the supported character uses their special, changes empty and badly matching orbs on Powerhouse and Driven into matching. That's also pretty good. Again, that really is dependent on the content you're going up against. Can be attached to Dofi, Gladius, Buffalo, and Baby 5. So you got lots of options there. Again, not an amazing ability though. Next is Dagama, which is the Rare Recruit version. Reduces damage received of Psi characters by 5%. Adds 20% of this character's base attack to the supported character's base attack. That's interesting. 20% is a massive number. This guy must have some low attack, I would assume. Yeah, after limit break, only 1,088. So you add an extra 200 attack, which is actually still pretty good. An additional 200 attack, but that only can go to Elizabello, so that's the downfall there. Sentomaru, the Rare Recruit one, once per adventure when you reach the final stage, reduces the special cooldown of the supported character by 2 turns, changes the supported character's orb and the friend captain's orb into matching. That is actually pretty cool. That's for Kizaru characters. Unfortunately, there isn't really a great Kizaru character in the game. I hope we get a V2 Kizaru in the future, because something like this might actually see play if we got a very, very good Kizaru character. But the only good Kizaru in the game that I can really think of off the top of my head would be like the Neo and Raid Kizaru, and I mean, they're okay. I guess you could still attach it because it still allows you to reduce your cooldowns, which means that you could use his special to reduce cooldowns even further. So it's not overly terrible, but it's just the fact that we don't have a good Kizaru in the game. Foxfire Kinemon, the Colosseum. Once per adventure, when you reach the final stage, reduce the special cooldown of the supported character by 2 turns for Raizo, Momonosuke, and Kanjuro. Again, same sort of thing as Kizaru, pretty good. Romanora Zora, and this includes his 6+, this is Legend Zoro. Once per adventure, when the supported character uses their special, locks the chain at 2.5 for 2 turns, and that is for any Mihawk or Perona character. That's pretty freaking cool. The only thing is, right, is the fact that on a team where you have a support character, if you have this Zora as a support, you can't run any other Zora on your team. That is the only downfall there. So if you are running Mihawk, you're likely running a slasher team, which means that you can't have any other copy of Zora if this guy's going to be the support. On Perona though, for Perona, this could be actually pretty good, because even for like a shooter team, right? Because Perona, like I'm thinking of the Rare Recruit Perona, who's a shooter, and she's good utility unit. You could use her special to reduce certain debuffs. You get a 2.5 times chain lock, and that could be very good for a shooter team, so that's not too bad. Daruma from the rare recruit from Hody's batch. Once per adventure, when the supported character inflicts with silence or paralysis, reduce silence and paralysis by 3 turns. Attached to Hody Jones, Hyozo, Ikaros, Dosun, and Zio. That's a great ability. It's just the fact that he doesn't have a very good pool of characters to attach to, but that is like one of the best abilities I've read so far. Rare recruit Duval from what batch is he from? I don't even remember what batch Duval is even from, but either way, it's the rare recruit Duval. Reduces damage received from int characters by 5%. That's not that great, but attaches to all characters, which is okay. Mr. Zero, which is from NL's batch. Once per adventure, when you reach the final stage, reduces the cooldown of the supported characters by 1 turn, and reduces silence by 3 turns. That's pretty good. Reduces cooldown, and then it says reduces silence. I don't know if the silence or special bind. I don't know if that is just for the supported character or if silence for the whole crew. Because if it's for the whole crew, that would be ridiculous. I'd assume it's just for the supported character. That's pretty good. And that can be attached to Daz Bones, Robin, and Bon Clay. Attaching to Robin's not bad. That's pretty good. We've got the 5+ Ichiji, and including the rare recruit Ichiji as well. And all of the Germa have the same sort, will have an ability. This guy, or Ichiji, will go ahead and state that when you're inflicted with increased damage taken, reduce that debuff by 2 turns and delay the enemies by 1 turn. That's pretty good. Niji will go ahead and add 5% of his stats to the supported character, and when the support character hits a perfect, reduces enemies' attack up and enrage by 1 turn. Again, pretty nice. Once per adventure, when you reach the final stage, add 30 times his attack as additional damage to powerhouse characters' attacks for 1 turn. Pretty good. Additional tap timing bonus without having to do much. That's pretty awesome. Bobbin rare recruit, attaching to quick characters. When you receive attack down, changes the support character's own orb and adjacent orbs into matching orbs. That's not really that great, only just getting some matching orbs. Would have been nice if he actually reduced the attack down as well, but you know, beggars can't be choosers. And that's pretty much it for these characters here at the bottom are not available on the global version. And then they've got class-based abilities as well. So these are just talking about characters that have abilities that boost certain classes. So you can see this list here. You can pause the video and have a look. You go Driven, Powerhouse, Cerebral, Free Spirit, Striker, Slasher, Shooter, Fighter, and all of these characters have different abilities based on HP, attack, and recovery. So you can cycle through these, and depending on what you need, if your team is based on healing, you can go ahead and have a look and see, you know, if you've got lots of Strikers on your team, you could put that. If you've got Free Spirit, you can put that. Cerebrals, you could put these. If you want more damage, you can have the attack support with all of these. Just looking through this list, you can have a look and see what characters you have and see what kind of characters you could use as support characters. And the same sort of thing with the colors. Strength, Dex, Quick Sight, Int, and these characters will all, you know, boost either HP, attack, or recovery. So it is nice to have that there. There are lots of different characters that are going to be having support abilities. So I highly suggest, if you guys want to learn more information about support abilities, to read this post right here. As I said, links to this post will be down below in the description. And all of the guys that I said in this video, in terms of their support abilities, that's only just scratching the surface. There are lots of support abilities in the game, and as characters get released, they are going to be having support abilities as well. I assume that, you know, maybe later on down the track, if Global gets more Global First content, that we'll probably get a character that has a Global First support ability, which will also be pretty cool. But, you know, the future's looking bright right now. Look very forward to this support effect update, which is going to be arriving on May 22nd. If we get lots of information on the day of that update, I'll probably make a video talking about it. But anyways, this is going to be it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did, make sure to leave a like. And if you want to stay up to date with all the content I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. But other than that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.